Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Hisham Health Tips. My name is Oke Shamoni, the presenter of the show. Today, I'm going to take you down the road on a medical emergency called stroke. So, are you interested in knowing how you can prevent it? Stay tuned to Hisham Health Tips. We are digging down deep. Stroke is a condition where you have a cut of blood supply to a section of the brain, and this can be caused by a blood clot. When you have a blood clot in a vessel supplying a section of the brain, it will lead you to a stroke. Or in other words, when you have rupture of a vessel also supplying a section of the brain, it can also lead you to stroke. A stroke is classified as a medical emergency, meaning if you have somebody in a stroke, it's a medical emergency. So the first type of stroke we'll be talking about is ischemic stroke. This is the most common. Ischemic stroke is caused when you have a block in the blood vessel supplying a part of the brain. Sorry. The second type of stroke I'll tell you about is what we call hemorrhagic stroke. The word hemorrhage in medical terms means bleeding. It is caused when a blood vessel in your brain ruptures. And when it ruptures, what do I mean by rupture? I mean burst. So when a blood vessel in your brain bursts, the blood bleeds out. So it's going to lead you to what we call the hemorrhagic stroke. And the third stroke I'm going to talk to you about is called, I like to call it the mini stroke, but in medical terms it's called transient ischemic stroke or transient ischemic attack. That's just what we call a mini stroke. It means it's like a warning stroke. It usually lasts for a very short period of time, usually under 5 minutes. It is mostly caused when you have a cut of blood supply for a short period of time, not permanent. About the signs and symptoms of stroke, right? Stroke. The first one we are going to talk about is what you are going to have sudden numbness, or in other words, sudden weakness. There's going to be sudden weakness in some of the hand or maybe the arm muscles, you understand. You're going to also have confusion. You're going to have sudden onset of confusion. You're going to have sluggard speech, meaning that your speech is going to be incoherent. You're going to be speaking off. So you talk off. Again, you are going to have difficulties walking. When you have a stroke, you cannot walk. Some sections are going to be looking like paralyzed. You're going to have severe headache. When you have, if you are somebody with a stroke, what put them at risk? The first thing is high blood pressure. High blood pressure is the #1 risk factor of stroke. If you are hypertensive, there is a very high possibility that if you are not somebody who is controlling certain modalities in your lifestyle, you are likely going to have stroke at a certain point in your life. Another risk factor is smoking and drinking. Cholesterol. You have high cholesterol in your blood. It can also lead you, because cholesterol can also clot on the blood vessels and narrow them out. Another risk factor is lack of exercise. If you don't do exercise, those are risk factors that will put you at the risk of having stroke. If you are diabetic, you are obese, those are things that put you at the high risk of having stroke. When you notice that somebody is having a stroke, act fast. FAST. Act fast. That is an acronym. F stands for face dropping. What do I mean by face dropping? The first thing you need to do if you notice somebody having stroke is that you need to assess face dropping. So you tell the person to smile. So if the person smiles and the person smiles and one side is dropping like this, it's a sign of stroke. Second is A, which stands for arm weakness. You tell the person to do what? Elevate both of your arms up. If you notice that the person elevates their hand up and then one hand is like it's not going up, one hand is struggling to go up, that is a sign of stroke. And the S stands for speech difficulties. You tell the person to repeat any simple phrase, just tell them to repeat maybe something like I have eaten, and maybe the person wants to repeat, the person say, you understand, the person has sluggard speech. That is another sign of stroke. So when these signs, if you see any one of these signs, you might not see all the three at once, but if you notice any one of them, if you do this test, because it's a test, if you do it and you notice any one of these signs, then that's when your T now becomes active. You need to use your T. That is a time you need to take now to rush that person to the hospital. If you have an ambulance number, you call. If you use a taxi, you hire the taxi to rush the person to the nearest health facility for proper management. Preventive measures for stroke. This is so important. You need to know how to help your parents at home prevent them from having stroke, and know how to help yourself in future when you're also old age to prevent yourself from having stroke. That is what we're talking about now. Number one is high blood pressure. Again, high blood pressure is the highest cause of stroke. It is so dangerous. If you are hypertensive, I told you, you have a high probability of having stroke if you don't adjust your lifestyle. Firstly, if you are hypertensive, you have to be checking your BP regularly. I advise electronic BP machines are available now. If you have a father, a mother at home who is hypertensive, get them an electronic BP machine, or advise them to buy one, and they should be taking their BPs on a regular and recording in a diary and communicating with a physician in the hospital on a regular basis. You should have a physician who you discuss with. If your BP start taking a wrong direction, you notify the physician. Early detection of irregular high blood pressures can prevent you from having stroke. Diabetes and obesity. If you're diabetic, you have to keep your diabetes under control. You need to have a glucometer. All diabetic patients should have their personal glucometers where you take your where you'll be taught how to take your sugar level, or your family or your children will be taught how to take your sugar for you, so that you can be recording in a diary and communicating with your physician. It is important. If you have underlying conditions, always keep contact with your physicians. That is very important. Then another thing is obesity. If you are obese, I don't want to talk about that one. If you are fat, it will lead you to that. That's all you need to know. The next is lifestyle. Now we'll be talking about your lifestyle modification. There are a lot of things you need to modify in your lifestyle. You need to reduce your salt intake. If you are hypertensive, they always say reduce your salt intake. If you are diabetic, reduce your sugar intake, right? And sugar and salt intake are very key for those two diseases. Whether you are diabetic or hypertensive, you always reduce the two intakes. Maggi contains salt, so we should know that when they say reduce salt intake, does not mean that you stop salt and take Maggi. Maggi is sometimes even considered worse than natural salt. You need to eat healthy. If you see this picture popping up on the screen, you need to see a demarcation of your food. So you see, majority of your diet is vegetables and majority is grains. You can see when I talk about whole grains, there's a difference between grains and whole grains. Whole grains are what you have, like whole wheat. Have you ever seen whole wheat bread? If you eat whole wheat, you don't need to eat this flour bread. You eat wheat bread. Those are things you take when you are having underlying conditions like hypertension and diabetes. And you should be eating large quantities of vegetables. Vegetables are fiber foods, a lot of fiber foods in there to help with cholesterol. And then you see the other two parts are proteins and fruits. You can see it clearly demarcated there. So you have to take proteins at this minimal range, and fruit enough. Fruit is a major part of your diet, especially fiber fruits. Fiber fruits are very key to your diet, like citrus fruits, banana, and the rest. Fiber fruit very key to your diet. And then you have at the corner of it, you have milk, but you should be careful with milk, dairy products, because you always need to reduce your fat intake. And dairy products also contain fat, so you should be careful with the way you take it. You take it, but you take it controlled. So that is just how your diet should look like. This is a healthy diet. Cholesterol intake is a big problem. What does cholesterol do? When you see this picture on the screen, you see the deposition that you see down on this vessel. This is an artery. When you see the deposition down, that is cholesterol that has deposited on the artery like that. And when this happens, it narrows down the lumen of the artery, meaning blood finds it difficult penetrating, or sometimes it can even accumulate until it blocks it totally. You're supposed to be careful with our cholesterol, and many of us don't know that you can check your blood cholesterol. You have to check your blood cholesterol level. And if you're somebody that takes a lot of cholesterol, especially these funny oils that we take, a lot of high cholesterol in this local groundnut oil that we take that is made in the quarters, is dangerous. And how can you help yourself? If you are taking those kind of things, you can help yourself by taking fiber foods. Fiber foods help neutralize cholesterol. I'll talk more about that in the next show coming up, which is on healthy diet. Talk about that more. So that's how you can bring your cholesterol down. That can help you prevent stroke, because cholesterol is also a high man for stroke. It can lead you to ischemic stroke. So that's what you can do to reduce. Another thing you have to do is to quit smoking. If you're a smoker, you quit smoking. I told you guys before that smoking narrows your blood vessel and it makes it difficult for blood to penetrate and supply. So if you smoke a lot, so the more you keep smoking, more sticks. Gradually, your blood vessels are narrowing. Gradually, they're narrowing till you finally have a chronic condition. So you have to reduce smoking. It is difficult to quit smoking because it contains addictive properties, like I told you, but you have to stop it gradually. You have to also reduce your intake of alcohol, because what does alcohol do? Alcohol increases your risk of having hypertension, and hypertension will increase your risk of having stroke. So reduce your alcohol in general. And if you are an alcoholic, your alcohol intake should be spread in intervals of 3 days. So if you are taking alcohol, you need to take, if you're taking on Monday, then you skip Tuesday, Wednesday, and you take it on Thursday, and then you skip Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you take it on Monday again. So your alcohol taking should be splitted in intervals of 3 days. People like, oh, I don't know, I see like taking it one time or 1 month, but somebody that is taking it every day, I can also, you should take it one time or 1 month. So if you can divide it into 3 days interval, it will help you a lot in reducing your risk of having hypertension in your later age and also having stroke. So reduce your alcohol intake. That is very important. Very, very important. Then lastly, we'll talk about exercise. Exercise is generally important. Why? Exercise helps, keeps your blood vessels healthy and keeps your circulation very fast. So that is what I have with regards to stroke. I hope that this health talk has been massively, massively helpful to you at home. Then we have our parents that are going old and that we have to prevent them from having this kind of condition. That stroke is a dangerous condition. So keep your comments coming. If you have any questions with respect to stroke, something you want to find out, or you can get on the comment section and let us interact there. I'll see you guys next week when we'll be talking about healthy diet. Stay tuned to Health Tips.